Many years ago, I think it was 4 or 5 years old, in the late 60s, early 70s, my father kind of tipped me off to this situation. I knew Elvis was big, but my dad said if this guy's path would have went a little bit different in rock and roll, rockabilly, and country music, he might have been just as big as Elvis or even bigger. And I said, Dad, who's this person you're talking about? He said, Conway Twitty. So today we're going to be talking about a guy that died way too young, left millions and millions of fans worldwide, but some 30 years after his death still continues to be a heavy inspiration to many music fans. Now, born Harold Lloyd Jenkins in Fires Point, Mississippi, September 1st, 1933, his big origin was in Helena, Kansas. Now, mostly known for country music, he also had success in rock and roll, R&B, rockabilly, and pop genres. Now, his biggest era was from 1971 to 76. He received a string of Country Music Association awards for duets with Loretta Lynn, and was also inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame and the Rockabilly Hall of Fame. Now, again, Twitty was born Harold Lloyd Jenkins on September 1st, 33 in Firesport in Coahoma County, which is northwestern Mississippi, if anybody knows that area. Great music tradition. The Jenkins family, get this, were of Welsh descent. He was named by his great uncle after his favorite silent movie actor, the great Harold Lloyd. The Jenkins family eventually moved to Helena, Kansas, when Jenkins was 10 years old. In Helena, Jenkins formed his first singing group, the Phillips County Ramblers. Now, Jenkins had his own local radio show every Saturday morning at one point. He was also a baseball player, which was his second passion. He eventually received an offer to play with the Phillies after high school, but was drafted into the United States Army. He eventually served in the Far East and organized a group called the Cimarrons to entertain his fellow soldiers. Now, Wayne Haas, a neighbor, suggested that Jenkins could make it in the music industry. Soon after hearing Elvis's classic song Mystery Train, Jenkins began writing rock and roll material. He eventually went to the Sun Studios in Memphis and worked with Sam Phillips, the owner and founder, to get the right sound. Now, none of Jenkins' son's recordings were released at the time, but Roy Orbison did record his composition Rock House, which was issued on Sun 251 with the flip side You're My Baby in 1956. Now, according to legend, allegedly in 1957, Jenkins decided that his real name was not memorable enough and sought a better show business name. In the Billboard Book of Number One Hits publication, Fred Bronson states that the singer was looking at a road map when he noticed Conway, Arkansas in Twitty, Texas, and chose the name Conway Twitty. Also in 1957, under his new name, he recorded briefly for Mercury Records, releasing 2 unsuccessful singles. Now, in 58, using his new stage name, Twitty's fortunes improved while he was with MGM Records, and an Ohio State radio station had inspiration, refraining from playing I'll Try, an MGM single that went nowhere in terms of sales, radio play, and jukebox play, instead playing the B-side, It's Only Make Believe, which seemed to be for many a hybrid of Roy Orbison, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Elvis Presley. This was a song written between sets by Twitty and drummer Jack Nance when they were in Canada at the time, in Hamilton, playing at the Flamingo Lounge. The record took nearly 1 year to reach and stay at the top spot on the Billboard pop music charts in the States, and was number 1 in 21 other countries, becoming the first of 9 top 40 hits for Twitty. It eventually sold over 4 million copies and was awarded a gold disc by the RIAA. Now, that same year, country singer Tammy West of ABC TV's Ozark Jubilee heard Twitty and booked him to appear on the show. When It's Only Make Believe was first released, because of vocal similarities, many listeners assumed that the song was actually Elvis's, using Conway Twitty as a pseudonym. Twitty would go on to enjoy rock and roll success with songs including Danny Boy, which hit number 10, and Lonely Blue Boy, which hit number 6. Now, Lonely Blue Boy was originally titled Danny, and it was recorded by Presley for the film King Creole, but it was not used in the soundtrack. This song led to him naming his band the Lonely Blue Boys. They subsequently became the Twitty Birds. Now, Twitty always wanted to record country music, and beginning in 1965, he did just that. Now, disc jockeys on some country music radio stations refused to play his first few country albums because he was known as a rock and roll singer. However, he had his first top 5 country hit, The Image of Me, in July '68, followed by his first #1 country song, Next in Line, in November of that year. Few of his singles beginning in 1968 ranked below the top 5. Now, he was gaining a reputation to being a very, very emotionally connected singer to women, and women of a certain age. In 1970, his big breakthrough for his female fans was his biggest country hit, Hello Darlin, which spent 4 weeks at the top of the country chart and is one of Twitty's most recognized songs. It's more of a song that's almost a tribute to a woman that he still has affection for. And if you're a woman lonely on a Saturday night, it really spoke to you in 1970. In '71, he eventually released his first hit duet with Loretta Lynn, After the Fire Is Gone. It was a great success, and many more followed, including the classics Lead Me On, Louisiana Woman, Mississippi Man, As Soon as I Hang Up the Phone, Feelings, I Still Believe in Waltzes, I Can't Love You Enough, and many others. Together, Conway and Loretta, as we are known in Iraq, won 4 consecutive CMA awards for vocal duo inclusive between '72 and '75, and a host of other duo and duet awards from other organizations throughout the 1970s. Now, the next big sexual hit, as I call it, for Twitty, You've Never Been This Far Before, which was #1 in the country charts for 3 weeks that September, and also reached number 22 on the pop charts. Some more conservative disc jockeys refused to play the song, believing that some of the lyrics were too sexually suggestive. The song is not sexually suggestive. It's not suggesting anything but saying, you know, this is new to you, but I want to do whatever's in the song. It is probably considered one of the most dangerous songs to play at a dance where the majority of women are frustrated with their husbands and or boyfriends. A lot of DJs, when I was growing up, refused to play Conway if they noticed the crowd were mostly women. You know how George Jones became Made Men Drink? Conway Twitty made women very aware of the fact they need to be treated better by their partners. That's all I can say. Now, in '78, Twitty issued the single The Greatest Lady of Them All, honoring the Grand Ole Opry. Somewhat ironically, Twitty was never inducted in the Opry during his lifetime. He remains one of the most prominent national country artists to have never been an Opry member, and we still don't know within the media why. It could have to do again with the content of some of these songs. Now, this single reached the top 20, peaking number 16, but it was well below expectations. It was the first time since '67 that a single of his failed to reach the top 10, as some radio stations refused to play a song honoring the property of a competitor, which was broadcast by WSMAM. Now, Twitty soon renewed his image with a new hairstyle, changing from the slick-back pompadour style to the curlier style he would keep for the rest of his life by the late 1970s. He, again, had shifted his musical arrangements in a country pop style he would maintain for the rest of his career. His next 23 consecutive singles all made it to the top 10, with 13 peaking at #1, including Don't Take It Away, I May Never Get to Heaven, Happy Birthday Darlin', and remakes of major pop hits such as The Rose and Slow Hand, made popular by the Pointer Sisters, and Tight Fittin' Jeans, a song written by Michael Huffman, released in June '81 as the first single from the album Mr. T. Now, the cassette of Mr. T, he was originally Mr. T before Mr. T became popular. It sold so many copies, most Continentals and other stores across New Brunswick couldn't keep it in stock. Every person of that era had Mr. T and George Jones's recent release on their tape deck. You could not go to anybody's house and not see Conway or George albums and cassette around, because again, they were the top 2 sellers of the era. Now, the song eventually was Twitty's 26th #1 on the country chart. The single stayed at #1 for 1 week and spent a total of 10 weeks on the country charts. In '85, going by all weekly music trade charts, The song Don't Call Him a Cowboy became the 50th single of his career to achieve a #1 ranking. He would have 5 more through 1990, giving him a total of 55 #1 hits. George Strait eventually matched the feat of 50 #1 hits in 2002 with his single She'll Leave You With a Smile, and then reached #1 for the 56th time in 2007 when the single Wrapped hit the top 10 on the media-based 24/7 lists. Now, throughout much of Twitty's country music career, his recording home was Decca, later renamed MCA. He signed with the label in late 1965, but left in 81 when it appeared MCA was marketing and promoting newer acts. Management at the label had also changed, in addition to other factors that brought on the decision. He eventually joined Elektra Asylum in 82. Now that label's country music unit merged with sister label Warner Brothers Records in 83. He eventually stayed with Warner Brothers to early 87, but then went back to MCA to finish his career. In 93, shortly before he died, he recorded a new album called Final Touches. Now, talking about his baseball career, this was, of course, his second passion. He had received an offer to play with the Phillies after high school, but again was drafted in the Army before he could sign the contract. Now, Twitty joined the entrepreneur Larry Shimoto and other country musicians such as Cal Smith and Jerry Reed in 77 as investors in the great minor league squad, the Nashville Sounds, a team of the AA Southern League, which began playing in 1978. Twitty eventually threw out the ceremonial first pitch at the team's home opener at Herschel Greer Stadium on April 26, 78. Twitty would also host celebrity softball games for charity, frequently playing against a team put together by his good friend Barbara Mandrell. Now, Twitty lived for many years in Henderson, Tennessee, just north of Nashville, where he built a country music entertainment complex called Twitty City at a cost of an enormous $3.5 million. Now, Twitty and Twitty City were once featured on the TV series Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and was also seen in the Nashville episode of the BBC series Entertainment USA, presented by Jonathan King worldwide. Now, eventually opened in 1982, was a popular tourist stop throughout the 1980s and into the 1990s. Unfortunately, was shut down in 94 following a year-long tribute show called Final Touches, when fans and peers of the music business dropped by. The complex was auctioned off and bought by the Trinity Broadcasting Network. Now, Twitty had a complicated personal life. He was married 4 times to 3 different women. Now, his first marriage to Ellen Matthews lasted from 53 to 54. He had married because Ellen was pregnant with his son Michael. His second and longest marriage was to Temple Mickey Medley. They were married in 56 and had 3 children, Kathy, Johnny Lee, and Jimmy Twitty. The couple were divorced in early 1970, but he remarried quietly by the end of the year. By 84, after 28 years of marriage on and off, the stress of Twitty's frequent absences took a toll on Mickey, and she and Conway divorced for good. In 87, Twitty married his 36-year-old office secretary, Dolores D. Henry. They were married until Twitty's passing. Now, Twitty made Oklahoma City his home during most of his recording career, from 63 to 72. He also lived in Norman, Oklahoma. He performed at the Diamond Ballroom after its opening in 64, and then Twitty opened one of his Twitty Burger restaurants on 7200 S Western Avenue in Oklahoma City. Now, in 81, unfortunately, Twitty was exiting his tour bus when he slipped on the steps and fell, hitting his head against the steps. John Huey, who was Twitty's steel guitar player, found him on the ground. Many people, including family members, said that Twitty underwent a change in personality after the accident. According to his daughter Joni, Twitty was not in the right state of mind for several months, saying in an interview that he had picked up a TV remote and began talking into it, thinking it was a phone. Now, was this post-concussion syndrome? We really don't know, but fortunately, as a lot of people knew, he did recover to a certain extent. Now, he was very big on the development side of country music as well. He served on the board of directors of CMT, which is Country Music Television, from 84 to 88. After Music Village Group, Niall Henson, Gilbert Biggers, Hal Hardaway Jr., and Benny and Jean Jaggers acquired CMTV from Glenn Daniels. Now, Inheriting a copyright infringement suit from Viacom, owner of MTV, he settled for an undisclosed sum. The Music Village Group built Music Village USA adjacent to Twitty City, which included a state-of-the-art 1,776-seat theater where CMT unlinked its 24-hour programming and produced live concert. When Music Village and Twitty were sold in '89, and CMT in 1990, Conway turned his attention to the burgeoning Branson market, playing to sellout crowds. He had teamed up again with Niall Henson and his team, including former quarterback-turned-architect who designed Branson's First Log Theatre, to anchor the 1400 Branson Hills development and new musical home of Conway Twitty. He inked the deal the day before his death in June of 1993. Now, on June 4, 1993, Twitty unfortunately became ill while performing at the Jim Stratford Theatre in Branson. He collapsed on his tour bus after the show and rushed to a hospital. He was rushed into surgery, but died of an abdominal aneurysm in the early hours of the following morning at Cox South Hospital in Springfield, Missouri. He was only 59. Now, Loretta Lynn, who frequently was his chart-making duet partner, was at the hospital because her husband Oliver was recovering from heart surgery. She saw Twitty briefly as he entered the hospital. His last studio album, Final Touches, was released 2 months later. 4 months after Twitty's death, George Jones included a cover of Hello Darlin on his album, High Tech Redneck. Now, Twitty was buried at the Sumner Memorial Gardens in Gallatin, Tennessee, in a red granite vault under his birth name, Harold L. Jenkins. There are spaces reserved there next to him for his wife and his son, Michael. Now, after Twitty's death, his estate became entangled in a lengthy court battle saga between the estate and family members, heirs, employees, and others that lasted over a decade. In one instance, the estate sued 2 of his daughters, claiming loans were due to be repaid. 5 years after his death, the Tennessee Appeals Court referred to that case in his opening sentence with, "This is yet another chapter in the administration of the estate of Harold L. Jenkins, a popular entertainer whose stage name was Conway Twitty." The court sided with the daughters, finding that the accountants and controllers of Twitty's books while he was alive, who later became the executors of the estate, kept limited and sketchy information when it came to the family members. In other instances, employees sued because of oral promises to be taken care of by Twitty, and often were successful. The court found Twitty rarely, if ever, memorialized contracts with family members, contractors, and employees in writing. Oral promises including bonuses of $1,000 per year of employment. The estate attempted to reduce that to $100 per year. Now, after his death, there's been numerous Conway albums that have came out. Since his passing, Twitty's son Michael and grandson Trey have been carrying on his musical legacy. His most recent appearance on the country charts was a duet with Anita Cochran, "I Want to Hear a Cheating Song" in 2004, which was made possible by splicing Twitty's vocal from old recordings and even interviews recorded over the years. As a result, Twitty's isolated vocal track was transferred to a digital multitrack and digitally reassembled into the new performance. Like the electronic duets of Patsy Cline and Jim Reeves, Hank Sr. and Jr., or Nat King Cole and Natalie Cole, Cochran added her vocal to backing tracks that had already been produced along with Twitty's reconstructed vocal. Now, currently, Bear Family Records offers a single-disc collection, Conway Rocks, featuring 30 key songs, and the Rock and Roll Years, a comprehensive 8-disc box set showcasing his complete early recordings as a rock artist. Now, unfortunately, like a lot of people were made aware after it happened, he was among hundreds of artists whose material was destroyed in the 2008 Universal Fire, which damaged a whole bunch of archives of various pop, country, and other artists over the last number of years. Now, Twitty's success in country music was also a key factor in winning an '83 case, Harold L. Jenkins, a.k.a. Conway Twitty, versus Commissioner in the United States Tax Court. The Internal Revenue Service allowed Twitty to deduct from his taxes, as an ordinary and necessary business expense, payments that he made to repay investors in a defunct fast food chain called Twitty Burger. the chain disestablished in 1971. The general rule is that the payment of someone else's debts is not deductible. Twitty alleged that his primary motive was protecting his personal business reputation. The court opinion contained testimony from Twitty about his bond with country music fans. Now, because he married again 4 times, his widow in 93, Dolores D. Henry Jenkins, and his 4 grown children from the previous marriages, Michael, Joni, Kathy, and Jimmy, engaged in a public dispute over the estate. Twitty's will had not been updated to account for the 4th marriage, but Tennessee law reserves 1/3 of any estate to the widow. After years of probate, the 4 children received the rights to Twitty's music, name, and image. The rest of the estate went to public auction, where much of the property and memorabilia was sold after his widow rejected the appraised value. Now, in 2008, controversy again erupted in the family when the 4 remaining children sued Sony ATV Music Publishing over an agreement that Twitty and his family signed in 1990. The suit alleged that the terms of the agreement were not fully understood by the children, although they were all adults at the time. It sought to recover copyrights and royalty revenue that the document assigned to the company. Now, major awards: Academy of Country Music, 71 Top Vocal Duo, 74 Top Vocal Duo, both with Loretta Lynn. Album of the Year, 75 Feelings with Loretta Lynn, 75 Top Male Vocalists, 75 Top Vocal Duo, and 76 Top Vocal Duo, both with Lynn. In 2008, the Pioneer Award. CMA Awards: Vocal Duo of the Year with Loretta Lynn, 72 to 75. Country Music Hall of Fame Museum, inducted in 99. Delta Music Museum Hall of Fame, posthumous inductee. Grammy Awards: 71 Best Country Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal, After Fire Is Gone with Loretta Lynn. And the Rockabilly Hall of Fame, posthumous inductee. Now, you won a Grammy Hall of Fame award, of course, for what a lot of people still consider his signature song, Hello Darlin. Now, Twitty again recorded numerous cover versions of songs, notably, of course, like I mentioned, Slow Hand, which was a major pop hit for the Pointer Sisters, Rest Your Love on Me, a top 40 country hit for the Bee Gees, The Rose, which was a major pop hit for Bette Midler, which also inspired the movie of the same name, and A Heartache Tonight. Very, very good cover. If you can find it, pick it up. It's tremendous, which was also a major pop hit for the Eagles. Now, Twitty's songs have also been covered dozens of times, including 4 notable covers: George Jones's version of Hello Darlin', Blake Shelton's Goodbye Time, the Misfits and Glenn Campbell's versions of It's Only Make Believe, and Elvis Presley's version of There's a Honky Tonk Angel Who Will Take Me Back In. In addition, Kenny Chesney's version of I'd Love to Lay It Down was sung and recording and received some airplay, mostly in the concert realm. Now, some artists have had hits with songs that Twitty recorded but never released as singles. Among these are the Oak Ridge Boys' top 5 hit, I Wish You Could Have Turned My Head and Left My Heart Alone, which was originally from the album Crosswinds. The Statler Brothers' You'll Be Back Every Night in My Dreams, from Twitty's album Rest Your Love on Me. Steve Warner's I'm Already Taken, which Warner wrote, from Twitty's album Mr. T, 1981. Lee Greenwood's It Turns Me Inside Out, from Twitty's album Southern Comfort. John Connolly's In My Eyes, from Twitty's album Dream Maker. John Schneider's What a Memory Like You Doing in a Love Like This, from Twitty's album Chasing Rainbows of 85, and Daryl Singletary's The Note, and Ricky Rand Shelton's Somebody Lied, from Twitty's album Don't Call Him a Cowboy. Now, he crossed over quite a bit in popular culture. Now, this is just a rumor, but I tend to believe it. The fictional character Conrad Birdie in the Broadway musical and movie Bye Bye Birdie is said to be a composite of Twitty with a little bit of Elvis Presley pushed in. The part was written with Twitty in mind, but after deciding to concentrate on music rather than film or theater, he declined the role. So he was going to play Conrad Birdie, but then he said, okay, we can't do Conway Twitty, make Elvis. So if you see the movie version of Bye Bye Birdie, which was one of my favorite movies, you're going to see a little bit more Conway, because Conway had a little bit of that kind of sexual jokingness that Elvis didn't have. Now, For the 59 record Songs for Swinging Sellers, Peter Sellers included a character, Twit Conway, who was a rock singer. Not as much of a tribute, of course. Now, the animated TV series Family Guy has used several cutaways to various performances by Twitty as non-sequitur transitions to provide a diversion for Peter Griffin, or as a counter to a controversial theme. The cutaway also almost always begins with, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty." Now, in one episode, Lois comes out of her shell. The Conway Twitty cutaway is used with Justin Bieber's hair superimposed onto Twitty, with his introduction as Conway Bieber. And in another, It's a Trap, wearing Darth Vader's helmet, introduces Dark Twitty. In the episode Three Acts of God, Three Acts of God, God says to Peter, Conway Twitty says, cut it out, just write a joke. And in the episode Rich Old Stewie, Conway Twitty is one of the people that Peter sees in heaven. Peter says he looks mad, but he sees that he's wearing the Darth Vader helmet. Now, on April 1st, 2020, comedian Gus Johnson released a full cover of Conway's entire Greatest Hits album. Now, in my personal opinion, Conway Twitty is a top 10 country music artist of all time, without a doubt. But the idea, the danger in his music was not listening to it would make you drunk. If you were a woman of a certain age and a certain going to a divorce or being disrespected, if you ever wanted to get back with a woman after you effed him over, she was looking at Conway Twitty, listen to Conway Twitty, you'd be done. Because Conway Twitty, for a lot of women that didn't really get Elvis got Conway Twitty. And I'll give you an example of this. I remember I was at a wedding where they were putting on Conway Twitty songs before the main show, and the DJ basically was told, don't put that on, this is a wedding. That's a breakup artist. It's not a pleasure artist. Sums it up right there. So, ladies and gentlemen, this wasn't a request. This is something that I plan to do for quite some time. Certain colleagues of my wife and different people I know in the North Shore wanted to talk about Conway Twitty because he's been in the news a lot, and like mostly the battles over his legal ramification with his family. But I think if Twitty would have lived the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, he would have been a much, much bigger artist. With the internet generation, if he would have lived, he could have done YouTube concerts, all kind of stuff. He would have been a billionaire upon a billionaire. He died too young. He died without being fully appreciated for what he did. And boys, people do miss him, ladies and gentlemen. I miss him. Because that hair, boys are boys. He like a class act all the way. Dressed to the nines, good personality. And I remember he used to, not say golf, there was other sports he was involved with. You know, he was nothing but, you know, him and Johnny Cash and George and Roy Orbison, how lucky we are, like the boys in Memphis and George and everybody else. What a pleasure. The world's a better place because it once had Conway Twitty singing the songs that nobody else could sing but Conway Twitty. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a great day. And don't forget, if you feel like crying, put on some Conway, because he can cry for you, no matter who you are. Have a good day. Bye.